Hey, it's William Melanie from Flowers and Scents with your floral industry buzz. I got some really hot news here. Komet Sales and Axerrio of Holland have joined forces. Basically, Komet, I think, has bought Axerrio. Not quite sure the exact details, but that's a big deal because both of those are portals that you buy flowers from. Maybe if you're a retailer, your wholesaler is buying flowers through the Komet system or your importer as such. So it's a really cool systems. And these two now, one's for Europe and one's for Holland, they've got, or for US, and they've gotten together. And I interviewed Chris Beals from the CEO of Komet Sales and to talk about it. So here we go. Let's rock. And also Elena Mejia, the lovely Elena, is sitting here listening. All right. Chris Beals and Elena, nice to see you all. I'm from Komet Sales, and Komet Sales has been busy here. You've been keeping me busy trying to keep up with you guys. And this latest one, which I can't even, well, I can talk about here because I'm only recording it, so it's not live.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been busy.
It's live. It's live. It's been announced now.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
7 a.m. today.
Okay, I'll go ahead and publish this probably tomorrow by the time I edit it, but that's just fine. Everybody will know what's going on here. So Axeri, is that Axerio?
Xario, yeah, Xario.
All right, well, tell me about it. You obviously did a merger or an acquisition, or what'd you do?
Yeah. So I guess I think of it as a merger. So sort of along with Comet and Unosoft and Floral Computer Systems, which are sort of the three companies sort of under the umbrella, we added Axerrio. And so Axerrio is based in Holland, 25-year-old company.
Yeah.
And they do software for importers, wholesalers in the European segment with a focus on operator. Just, and then other folks that people, on this side of the ocean might be familiar with, like, Holix and people like that.
Are they, is it a portal or is it just, are they making websites or what?
No, they're the core ERP software that these businesses are using to run everything from procurement through production, through AR, AP, kind of like account management, through sales team management. So it's this really, really intricate and I think robust system that really is kind of doing soup to nuts, business management solutions. And part of that is e-commerce. They do have some really nice embedded e-commerce solutions that enable these businesses to sort of take their inventory and sell digitally. And then, working with all the differing sort of European standards and protocols for e-commerce and sort of digital marketplaces, like Floriday, VMP, obviously the clock with the auction, that sort of thing. It's co-founded by two gentlemen, Nardi and Marcel, and they are continuing on with the company, which is really great. And they have just deep knowledge about the European floral industry and have a great relationship with their customers, have been there helping them grow for, in some cases, decades.
Yeah, well, that's actually deeper than Comet, as Comet goes anyway, right? You don't go into the accounting part of it, or at least you hadn't.
Yeah, we have some, you're right. We have some accounting elements. I would say it's sort of accounting light. Actually, one of the things we're working to deliver this year is deeper accounting integrations and that sort of thing. But by no means does Comet hold itself out as being an accounting solution. But yeah, I think that was one of the things that was really attractive about doing this deal is they just go deeper on a lot of aspects of helping these businesses sort of run their operations that traditionally Comet hasn't done. And there's just a ton that we can learn from them. And on the flip side, I think they were really interested to learn a lot, some of the things that Comet does that they don't focus on quite as much, such as the things we've been doing with K and sort of automation of procurement ordering and some of the things we're doing with barcode labeling and all the things that Comet's focused on, which are about helping a box with less loss sort of move through the supply chain with less time getting, sitting on a hot runway or getting lost in transit and that sort of thing. And so I think that was sort of, I think one of the really wonderful synergies about this is, is they almost have this sort of like Swiss clockwork element to how their software works and the way they've thought through sort of every single aspect of how a flower business, does things. And obviously with things like the auction and that sort of thing, there's just a lot more detail that's needed. But even looking at some of the stuff they do around, well, if you're going to sell bouquets, what's the fractional cost of the bucket if you're wet packing that bouquet and that sort of thing. And they've thought through everything.
Yeah, and I think, well, on a grand scheme of things, this is a big move because Comet wasn't in Europe for the most part. And these guys are heavily invested in Europe, and now it's great synergy to put these two things together in one gigantic portal, I guess. I don't know. So, and I think Chris also maybe before we go too far, K to K. I'm not sure everybody knows what K to K is.
Yeah, so K to K stands for Komet to Komet, and I think the easiest way to describe it is it's an e-commerce network protocol. It's basically a layer for transmitting orders seamlessly. So if someone orders via K to K with a wholesaler, florist orders with a wholesaler, the inventory they're looking at will often not just be the inventory of the wholesaler, include the inventory of the importers that supply them, and in some cases, the farms that supply those importers. And so somebody, say, ordering for 2 weeks out, may be ordering a product that is sitting on a loading dock at a farm in Quito. And sort of what you get with that in terms of traceability, a barcode printing out all the way down through the supply chain is incredible. I think it's one of the really exciting things that Komet does and can do to attack things like dump rate or the amount of product that you order and don't sell and that sort of thing. But yeah, so Komet to Komet is, effectively one layer extra on e-commerce, and that it lets somebody further up the supply chain seamlessly order through their intermediary, whether that be a wholesaler or an importer, to the people who supply them. And it's all seamless and sort of invisible to the buyer.
Yeah, a very cool process and availability, because for that, what you just said there, you can dig down and much deeper into inventories and therefore availabilities, right down to the grower level. It's a beautiful thing.
No, it's and I think the thing that's nice is it's K to K has been out for better part of a decade at this point. And one of the things that's amazing is how it's evolved with handling things like cross stock shipping. Well, if you're getting these K to K orders, not even moving the inventory into your cold storage, say as an importer in Miami, just straight moving it across to where it's destined to, St. Louis or wherever else, is a huge benefit. It reduces the amount of storage space you're using, gets the flowers there faster, which in the flower game, unbroken cold chain and speed of transport is everything. So yeah, that's been really exciting, and I think something that our customers really love.
And so where do you go from here? Who's left to buy? You
I would say this, and this isn't sort of false modesty. We've bitten off a lot with the companies that we've brought in. I think along with it, we're in the next couple of months, we've promised and we will deliver. It's very much underway, getting Unisoft directly integrated. That's the farm solution into Komet. Because a number of farms do use Komet, they do use K to K, but the ability to have all of your projected inventory, your future inventory, real-time seamlessly sync. If somebody through your website buys, 20 boxes, knowing that your inventory is going to decrease by 20, and somebody buying through K to K is not going to buy those same 20 at the exact same moment.
Is that what Unisoft brings that to the table? That's the grower version?
Exactly. Yeah, they are they are this incredibly deeply featured farm production and farm management solution. And so letting those farms plug in as their e-commerce directly into Komet, or more accurately, their inventory directly in, it just opens all that up. Same thing with floral computer systems. We're in the process of rolling out Komet Pay, which is our new payment solution to those customers, but also working to, and this will be done before probably just into Q2, getting K to K integrated into FCS so that those wholesalers using Floral computer systems and their smart system solution can use K to K. But yeah, I mean, to your original question, I think now we've added the entire team at Axerrio's come aboard. We've added a bit more of a European focus. And I think we've bitten off all we can chew for quite some time. But more than that, I think the point of this wasn't it's not to own all the software. There's many great software providers who are also out there. It was about taking this connectivity and this network, and also, especially in the case of Xario, the things we can learn about Europe, because we do have a number of customers who are trying to buy and sell from Europe into Komet customers, and just add that to sort of the knowledge base and all the sort of brilliance that we have around the table with the company already. And so I would say next up with Xario is the same thing with Unisoft. Integrate, 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 and really focus on how we can bring the benefits to our customers and their customers as quickly as possible. I think anytime we look to do an acquisition, the first question is, how's this going to help our customers?
Yeah.
You know, and I think with this one, we saw an immediate synergy because we looked at a number of Xario customers who were buying from Komet customers right now today, and they were doing it via WhatsApp and PDFs and emails. And if we can take that and digitize it and eliminate the sort of ordering overnight in Holland, and you wake up and you say, well, I don't have that anymore. And then you message them, and then you hear overnight from them the next day, and turn it into knowing that people in Europe ordering via Axerrio into Komet are ordering a product that's actually there. And even if you're sleeping as a Komet customer, you know that that inventory is not going to get double sold to somebody else.
Yeah, and your Floral computer systems purchase, which was the previous one, and he happened to be one of my long time advertisers and sponsors of Flowers and Scents. John and I went way back, and and sort of sorry to see him go, but glad there was a transition for him. I know he was about ready to get out of that, I think. So
well, but one interesting thing is he hasn't gone anywhere. I have my meeting with John on Wednesday. He's still running Floral computer systems. I think the exciting thing for him, but especially for his head of engineering, is now he gets to come in and say, all right, we want to integrate K to K. You guys give me the APIs, like sort of, or not the APIs, give me the connections I need. And let's sort of make this happen. And so I think I think the funny thing is for him, I think it's brought a lot of excitement. I know for his engineering lead and some of his folks on operations, like it just opens up a lot of new functionality. And I think that there's a lot of shared learning, because frankly speaking, FCS had way deeper expertise in wholesalers than Komet did. I think in the same way with Xario, there's just so much stuff to learn from that team. As we go through and do the integrations and do that. And the other thing I would mention is sort of, you know, with everyone, Xario included, we're always, you know, looking to also just integrate. We don't need to buy people. We can just integrate and sort of, again, the idea is K to K is a protocol. It's a standard. And so those standards work better when other people use them. But nonetheless, I think for now, no more acquisitions, just a lot of hard work.
Well, and I happen to be one of those people that understand a little bit about those integration things, and boy, they're a mess to do right. You know, the mapping of all your products and trying to figure out my 50 centimeter red rose is your 50 centimeter Charlotte rose, or Johnny, you know, bright red rose. You know, that's been was one of the nightmares of always trying to integrate.
I mean, you've gotten right. It's funny, you've gotten right to the core thing that people are sitting in a room whiteboarding day and night right now. How do we match the inventory? How do we match these rose SKUs, these, you know, these JIP, whatever else? How do we make sure we know it's the same product? And if somebody's selling it through, it shows in their system the way they have it entered, not how the farm has it entered. How are we integrating with the European Flora Code standard, you know, and making sure that just because we use American sort of descriptions or America's descriptions and terminology for flowers, how do we know that if someone's going to sell it to a European buyer, that's going to happen. Another thing with the Xario thing, and most people aren't even thinking about this, the European Union passed these really restrictive regulations about origin reporting for flowers coming from outside of the EU. One of the great things about this partnership that we have with Xario is we can work through Komet, through Unisoft to make sure that the farms have the proper or can show their certifications digitally, and they will pass through the system. And so you can, thinking about future proofing, when the EU does EU does activate this, it's going to cause a huge disruption. There's going to be, and I think that we can help make that disruption not really a disruption anymore, making it so that, a Axerio customer or wholesaler importer, regardless of who they are in Europe, can buy through this system and not only get flowers, they can also get the certifications that they need to show the European Union.
Sort of like connecting the telephone lines, over the many years, connecting all this stuff. And
Exactly.
so I'm sort of happy that you guys are doing this, because what you are in fact doing is creating this connection that sort of needs to be made. And it's no easy way to do it.
I think that's look, I have not been in the industry long enough to say with too much certainty everything that's needed or not needed, but I think it seems obvious to most people that making sure that you have connections and that there's sort of these telephone lines are sort of connected and you can do things digitally, but also that we're all speaking the same language in terms of taxonomy, what the product is, quality, that sort of thing. Is done in the same way. And I think just from that, you can get a ton of opportunity, a ton of efficiency. I think just another exciting thing that I start to think about with this transaction, a number of importers in Miami, a number of farms constantly, when I talk to them, say, you know what, we go to the trade shows, we see a great new flower and we buy it, but then nobody else knows about it. How do we tell people about new products we have, new SKUs? And one of the things I think we can do, and that gets even worse when you go to sell those products to Europe, where they're sort of talking about different things, going to different trade shows. And so just this consistent feedback that you can come up with a great product, but getting people to buy it, giving them enough information, sample boxes is not a scalable, it's a very expensive way to do that. Yeah. And that's one of the other things, is just letting better information exist in the system will help people sell not just the same products they've always sold, but new products that they've just introduced and they want to sell. I have yet to talk to anybody who hasn't said that they have trouble selling new SKUs. They can sell Freedom 60s till the sun, till the cows come home. But selling a new SKU that they license coming out of SAF or from WUFSA or Proflora, most likely, good luck.
Yeah, that's always been a challenge to get new acceptance, because we know every convention, well, as you will find out as you go to these conventions over the years, there's always a new red rose and a new yellow one and a new pink one. So there's no lack of them trying to get my pink to be better than your pink. So that's the game.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but I think what we can attack is like, a farm selling something to Europe and they don't even know it's a yellow. I think at some places we're missing that information. It's not just like how great it is or like, how consistent the head size is. It's like, this is a yellow rose. People are not even getting like that information.
Hey, well, here's a challenge for you, because one of the challenges in the floral industry has always been this image of where do you go to find that color rose, or you want to go, where does that variety? So there's been several attempts. I've been involved in a few of them to try to do a flower catalog, with proper photography, and some people are doing it, but they've become very proprietary. I used to link to all them on my website here, and so if somebody wanted to find out what a Freedom Rose looks like, or a Mundial, they can go to this website, and it sort of reasonably should give you the color and the statistics and the puddle count. And honestly, it's something like Komet, and I'm just thinking about this out loud, frankly, as somebody who could maybe put that together, because it's not easy to do. It's a pain in the butt. It's hard to keep up with all the new varieties because there's so many. But with a database like you have, and techniques and programmers, that's my challenge for you today, Chris.
So actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I think two of the things that we're thinking about and working on are not just open e-commerce protocol and open e-commerce standard for all different systems out there, but also with this taxonomy and matching. And then the ability that people using the protocol can sort of add product images eventually. This is the vision of where we want to go, can flag if information seems incorrect. But the idea would then be to make that catalog openly consumable by others. Look, there is a little bit of selfishness in that too, is if you make the catalog open, it becomes more accurate. People say, hey, that's not a red rose, you know, that's, and so, yeah, I think that would be the goal. Because I think the power of the catalog and what we could do by providing that catalog, it's not just sort of creating the catalog as it stands right now. It's the ability to have a living catalog that sort of, as genetics drift, or as people introduce new species, or somebody has the product in hand and wants to upload a photo of it, how can we associate that or tie that to this? Because it's, look, we deal in a living organism. And I think as a result, the software systems and the data systems that go with it have to live and evolve too.
Yeah, they got to evolve too. Hey, well, Komet's on the move. Komet has purchased Axerrio here, or at least has added it to its group. And I find that being a very proactive and very good thing for the industry. So I applaud your move. And I look forward to what else Komet has to say. And I will put this out so everybody knows, but you told me they already know. So I'll reinforce it.
Well, they know, but they know, but they don't know. This is the funny thing is, yeah, we've had trouble. There's still people who don't know we acquired Unisoft. Just it came up in volume last week. I think, yeah. So I think, I think having, having your assistance and getting the word out is invaluable, because I think one of the two things that are hardest with this is, one, just getting people to know. And two, I think people, want to ascribe this sort of like, oh, well, what's happening, or sort of what does this mean? And I think, with each of these acquisitions, it's pretty simple. Each of these companies are going to do the same thing they did before, except we're going to try and make it easier to do all the selling digitally, which, by the way, all these systems did before they joined together. They just didn't speak to each other. And and I think that's, I think if there's one thing we can do to sort of help things is potentially be the standard bearer for sort of this e-commerce interoperability and just product catalog interoperability.
So for the average person reading or listening to this, I mean, the benefit to them, let's say a retail florist, is that their wholesaler, using your systems, might have much better access to inventories than they had yesterday or last week, because there's more visibility into the system. Is that fair?
And yeah, not only that, and they can showcase it more seamlessly. I think they can. That wholesaler can now sell out of inventory that might be sitting at an importer in Miami, whether it's one of the larger wholesalers and they own that importer, or whether it's one of the importers they buy from. And when those boxes arrive, sort of the order of operations of the supply chain is uninterrupted. It flows, the same flow of farm to importer to wholesaler to the end buyer, but now it's getting there faster.
Yep.
And sort of that wholesaler can showcase a broader selection of products than it could before. It's funny. I was talking to a wholesaler who's piloting sort of one of the newer features for K to K for wholesale. And he said, hey, Chris, he goes, we're, early data, he goes, but we're seeing about 30% improvement in margin for the products that we're selling through K to K.
Wow.
So, wow,
Big number.
That's a big number. He said, well, look, with the system, the customer is buying exactly what they want. When it's coming to us faster, the supply, we have less concerns about the cold chain being broken or sort of bad boxes coming in. And the customers bought those boxes. When they come, the customer automatically gets a notification. They need to come in and pick up their boxes. We're not buying those boxes and hoping we can sell them, or hoping the customer remembers that they, told us over the phone they wanted to come down this week and this is roughly what they wanted. This is what they bought and it came through. And also the fact that sort of now our salespeople can talk to them and say, okay, well, we know you bought this. Let's talk through some other great things that we have, because we also already know that you're coming in to pick up this other order.
Mhm.
And so he kind of walked through the various reasons. I said, oh, wow, that makes a lot of sense. But it was incredible, I think, to hear him. And look, that was early kind of off the cuff math, but I think that helps to highlight and really was illustrative for me of just how much value you can get from a system like K2K, and doing the same things that were done via analog, just now digitally. Exact same process, but faster with real-time inventory.
Yeah, not only the box is coming faster, but the information's coming along with it and has been fed to you all the way along your line. So it's not a mystery anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, well,
And we're also adding the ability that, if for this K2K system and for e-commerce, if you have these boxes in transit, to the extent you're a wholesaler that sells by the bunch, you can start selling boxes or bunches out of that box while it's still on a truck somewhere on its way to you.
Yep, exactly. Hey, well, a lot of good stuff coming out of Komet, so I'm happy to know Komet, and that Komet is a sponsor for me on Flowers and Scents. So thank you very much. And so now people will know what you're doing, because I'm going to tell them here, and probably tomorrow if I get my editing done today. So
Appreciate it.
thank you for your time and for letting me know more about this, because I like it.
Yeah, no, it's always great to chat, and I think we'll keep you posted. I think as we start to release new features, we'll give you a heads up, before they ship, if any of them are interesting or you think there's something noteworthy about them. But yeah, I think the idea is we ship more stuff and we move faster as a collective than individually.
So I know I'll be seeing you in Europe more often. And Elena, nice to see you today.
Really?
We'll have to get you in the chat pretty soon here, so you can tell us what's going on with you too. But Chris was the man today. So Chris, thank you for your time, and Elena, and we'll get right to this.
Perfect.
Thanks, Willie.
Cheers.
Thank you, Willie.
Bye-bye.